The show is for informational purposes only, and that individual situations may vary, and the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individuals' professional advice.
We all chose to be self-employed for a reason.
Right.
So now how do we transition out of that and find purpose and value in the work that we do?
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Exit Is Now podcast with me, your host, Scott Snider. I'm hanging out with two SEPAs, two friends, one from Wisconsin, one from California. Thank you guys both, Travis, Mo, for coming out to the EPI headquarters in Cleveland, Ohio. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for your service. So I don't know how many people know. You guys are both. We were just talking kind of pre-show. You guys are both pretty involved in the EPI community. So maybe people know you for your kind of your professional advisory background, but maybe they don't know the years of service you put in for our country. So you were a Army Ranger, a sniper in the Army Rangers, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and you were a fighter pilot in the Marines, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and for all of us that are tuning in, today is our September 11th show. So I thought it would be pretty cool to have guys like you come in and talk a little bit about your careers in the military, but also talk about how you've transitioned out of that and now are advising business owners in your work today and inside of the EPI community. But I must say, gentlemen, I am a little jealous because I don't know if I could ever be a fighter pilot per se, but I always wanted to be like a helicopter pilot in the Army, right? What they had those
Wouldn't
like
be a bad
cavalry
deal.
hats and stuff. But I'll tell you a quick story. So one, I will say in all seriousness, it is my biggest regret in my life. I only have one. I try not to live with regrets. But at the same time, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing today if I would have went in. I don't know if I would have been like more of a career guy like you because you did 30 years.
All right, 33.
Or if I would have done like, did you go ROTC kind
No,
of
I
thing?
did not.
So you went to college first though.
I did a long hair, little chin beard at UC Santa Barbara.
In Santa Barbara. And then what? You just decided to go in?
My father was a Marine. I was named after my dad's best friend who was killed in Vietnam. And kind of always had that burning in the background, but my old man said, hey, don't do it for me or anybody else because I can't run those hills or do those marches or get yelled at.
Yeah. So fun story, and if you guys both know my dad, Chris, so you guys could appreciate this. So in high school, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the Army and be a helicopter pilot. That's what I wanted to do. And I thought after that, I would come out and maybe be like a U.S. Marshal or something like that. Now, again, I had my landscaping company during this whole time, but I thought me and Dad, for that matter, didn't really all think it was going to last as long that it did, right? It was like that high school thing. And so this whole time, I'm preparing to go into the military. And my dad's a big corporate guy, right? So he's got a lot of connections. So we go down to the Key Club, right? The Key Bank Club at, this like lunch club, social club that Dad's a part of. And we meet like a high-ranking person in the Air Force, right? And I remember I was like maybe a sophomore, so I'm getting ready, and I asked about ROTC because that was the route I was going to go, right? And I go in, and usually I am like I am today, right? Like pretty extroverted, can talk to anybody. Sure. I totally blow this this lunch. We walk in and he's dressed like I'm like, oh shit. Like I don't know if I've ever.
He's got his fruit salad on.
Yeah, he's got that whole thing that you guys have, So I'm like, I sit down and it's like this nice club, and I would say to kind of maybe preface this too, Dad and the Snider family is a little bit more white collar, right? Though they grew up blue collar. My great grandfather was a farmer, but then they got into law, real estate development, business, professors. Mom's side is chefs and steel mill workers, right? Here, born and raised Cleveland, Ohio type folks, right? And I always leaned a little bit more into my mom's background than maybe Dad's background from like the roll up your sleeves, more of a country kind of feel.
That explains the landscaping business.
Yeah, and that explains the landscaping business. So I had certainly never, although, we grew up pretty nicely, I never had been to like this formal Key Club, right? So I'm already in the suit and tie. Now I went to an all-boys Catholic school, so I always was used to the suit and tie, but a little intimidating nonetheless. And then we meet this guy, and I shake his hand, and he's a big, tall guy, and I'm just like, oh, shit. Like this, I don't know if I'm ready for this. We sit down, and my dad is literally kicking me under the table saying to me, like you could tell, he's like getting kind of pissed because I'm embarrassing him, because he's really pulling favors for me. We get in the car after this thing, and he goes, well, son, it looks like you're not going to serve this country. And I said, why is that, Dad? He goes, you friggin' blew the meeting, man. Like, what is wrong with you? I've never seen you so intimidated, shut down, scared. And I shit you not, gentlemen, that kind of killed the dream, because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I was just kind of intimidated or what. But after that, I went hard into business, and I ended up going to John Carroll University, where my dad went for a year to major in business management with a minor in entrepreneurship, and put all my focus into my landscaping company. So it's kind of weird how life works, but I was looking at great ROTC schools that had like a criminology type program, and I had this whole thing well thought out. But whoever that Air Force, I don't even remember his name, scared the shit out of me. Yeah. So here I am today with all of you. So again, thank you guys for your service. It really something that I think a lot of us admire. So you kind of told your story, Mo. How did you decide to go serve?
So school was never really a big challenge to me. It was just one of those things you just go through the motions. And so I went to a semester at college, and I'm like, this is stupid. I gotta pay for this crap, and now I gotta sit here and do all this, and I'm still living in my parents' basement at 18 years old. So I'm like, there's no way I can keep doing this. So I was like, I'm gonna get someone else to fund my future. So I'm gonna go into the reserves, and I'm gonna go be a nurse. And my dad was a recruiter in the Army, and he said, "Oh, are you nuts? You want to go be a nurse? You can go be a nurse the rest of your life. Go do something you'll never get to do again." And my dad may not always be full of gems of wisdom. That was one of them that was just perfect for that time. So I went to whatever the office is the recruiter's office that you sign up, and they said, we'll have you be a truck driver. And I was like, there's zero chance I'm going to go drive a truck in Iraq or Afghanistan right now. No.
Right? Because this is September, this is post-September 11th,
this was summer of 2005.
Okay,
so I just graduated.
Yeah,
so
you did
war's kicking pretty good at this point.
The one's getting blown up.
Yeah, that's a tough day, right?
Yeah, let's just drive this huge target down the road. No, I'm good. So then he said, go do something you'll never get to do. So I said, I either want to do Ranger Regiment or I want to go into Special Forces. And they said, well, Ranger Regiment is an $18,000 bonus. You leave in January.
Oh, man.
Special Forces, you leave in April, no bonus. And I'm like,
I'll take the bonus.
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to say no to money, so I'll take that.
So do they assign you to be a sniper, or is like, hey, this is what we need right now, we're going to train you to do that?
No. So you do basic training. I went to Fort Benning. I did basic training there. I did airborne school there. And then I went to the Ranger Indoctrination Program, the selection course for Ranger Regiment. And did that. I went straight to a line platoon.
Yep.
Started out as just a M4 gunner, then worked up through team leader. And then after I got the promotion that nobody wants, so my boss died in combat, and so I ended up taking over his team. And I said, if this is where I'm going to be, then I want to be in a position where I get a little more control over that. I want to be on our sniper teams. Yeah. And then we get to do a little more fun stuff. Our sniper teams were also our climbing teams, so we'd go out just ahead of the main element, and then we'd climb up on the nearest building and make
you're
sure
talking
no one
to me
ran
about
away.
this. Yeah.
So squirters.
Yeah.
That's what we call them.
That's freaking wild, man.
Stop the squirters. So.
That's wild. Is that the bracelet that you wear? Don't you wear a bracelet?
Yeah.
Is that for your team leader?
Yeah. So that's for Jimmy Regan.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What about you? So how do you say, hey, I want to go fly planes? Were you always interested in aviation?
It was something that was interesting in the background, but I always wanted to be a Marine first, and something can happen to your eyeballs or something like that, and you can't fly. So
that's true.
That had to go through a 2-day physical and pass a bunch of different tests like that. And it's a big weeding out process, essentially. It was a driving force, and I think it was really the challenge. I mean, that's probably similar to yourself in terms of your business. It's like, somebody says, not everybody can do this. I don't know if you can make it happen, and just keep leveling up every time you get it. Just keep driving off.
What'd your dad do your dad was in the Marines?
He's an infantry officer. He was a company commander of Vietnam.
Wow. Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, there were 11 lieutenants that graduated from his basic school class that went infantry, and he's the only one that went. So it was just a lot of casualties. So grateful for him making it, because I wouldn't be here either.
So same kind of question to you. So you go in here and I'm going to do aviation or whatever. Do they assign you a certain plane, or do the Marines only have how do you go? You know what, you're gonna, because you did F-18s.
That's correct, F-18s. And basically you start from just going to ground school, and then they do some physical testing, water survival. And each one of those are wickets where some people don't make them. Yeah. And some people aren't, some people will throw up all the time. They're air sick or sinuses can't clear. And then there's also performance indicator too. And generally when you get to the end of any one phase, there's a primary, then there's an intermediate and advanced, and then you get wanked. And through each one of those, your grades kind of determine. You can want all you want, but unless your grades are in a certain position and the needs of the Marine Corps there, you can graduate number 1 out of 25 people. If there are no jet slots and you're going helicopters with props.
Okay.
So there's a dynamic from both sides. But yeah, it's about a 2-year process when I went through to get my wings and go through. And then when you do, it's again like what's available. Okay, top guy gets what he wants. Everybody else fight for what's all through.
So you were always were you always pressuring yourself to try to get that top spot because you kind of knew what you wanted to do?
Yes, but I never made the top spot.
Oh, really? So what was your number one? Did you have a number one, or did you end up getting?
I ended up getting what I wanted.
Okay. Yeah.
But they better be lucky than good sometimes. Sometimes they say the top guy wanted Hornets West Coast. Yeah. And the next slot was Hornets East Coast. But yeah, luckily I was able to get both of what I want.
So, and then being a sniper, are you a good hunter? You still today? Because don't you hunt? You're a hunter, right?
I would love to hunt more than I have the patience.
Yeah, well, how many kids do you have?
So I got 6 kids. So, getting out of the house isn't always that easy. But
it's not all day to track those kids.
No, I mean,
yeah, right, exactly.
The other part of it is, when you got the ability to shoot a distance, the patience to wait for it to come in, I could never bow hunt. I don't know how some of them guys do it. I'm like, I just want to smoke it.
We'll come out to the west. It's spot and stock. So you got to find them, and then you got to track them, and then get in range and shoot. I go elk hunting.
Yeah.
Oh, you go elk hunting? Yeah. In California or
no, in Utah.
In Utah.
That would be a blast.
California would probably only let us do it with slingshots.
Yeah, right. They're probably not letting you hunt all that much out there. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So what kind of, during that time, obviously a lot going on in our country and across the world too, like what kind of lessons are you guys learning? Like not necessarily that apply to business, but when you think about your time served, like what are some of the things that pop into your head as like lessons that you kept, lessons that you teach to guys like me that you might mentor or your kids?
It's one of the things that my first team leader that I had, no one's ever going to accuse the guy of being the smartest man in the room. He just wasn't. But he told me something the first time I met him. He said, you can only control the things that you can control. Mm-hmm. He said, there's no point in panicking about something you can't do anything about. So when you're in a fight, no matter what's happening, do your job, do the best you can, and then make sure you don't fail the guy next to you. So that's something that always stuck in my mind, and that sign that you guys have out there that says relentless execution.
Yeah.
No matter what the job is, you got to get it done, because otherwise something's not going to go well, and it's probably not for you, it's for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's something that's just constantly in my mind.
That's spot on. We say at least in our squadron and fighter community, we'd say, hey, there is a fate worse than death, and that's letting your squadron mate down or embarrassing the professional reputation of your squadron. Yeah. I like what you said up there. One of the things I'll take away is you got that boss and leader out there.
Oh, yeah, right.
As a leader, you get out there and you pull on the rope too, just like everybody else. And that's one thing I learned just as an officer. It's a little bit different. You're the quote unquote the zero or the college kid, but everybody that's in there, it's a total team effort, especially as a pilot. People look at you like, oh, you're that dude in that, cool sunglasses with the mask on and take the sexy jet out. But
it's like Top Gun, right? It's like Top Gun Maverick, man.
I'll never forget riding up the elevator and being in the freaking cockpit with the wings folded up on the carrier and getting shot up. I was like, holy shit, holy crap, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I can't believe this is happening right now.
But it doesn't happen without, and I get goosebumps right now thinking about it. Those Marines that have been up for 20 hours straight and they're covered in grease, and you look at them through their cranials, and the only place you can see because they're all covered in grease and hide fluid or shiny white teeth because they're smiling because they know you're going to get the jet out. Yeah, when it was broken 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. You said something in when I introduced you guys about this podcast. You said he was out there doing God's work with the boots on the ground. I think that the two, what I thought was interesting too about having you guys in, because two kind of and this is from my civilian opinion, I guess, like two totally different kind of jobs. Like you're down there on the ground, you're up in the air, but you're working kind of side by side almost. Is that fair to say?
I would say 100%. We talked about it at lunch. The first time we called in we called them fast movers. So the jets come in, and all you hear is, we're I'm like, all right, come on, that didn't actually do anything, though. And then you peek around the corner, and that entire vehicle looks like Swiss cheese, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
thank you
well, it
for your
did
help.
have an impact. Thanks, guys. But
Yeah.
That's exactly
And
right.
what's it like from there?
It's all a team effort, and I know I'm like Pacific Advisors and part of a securities investment advisor and all that stuff, but it's still a team effort, and that's what it really is. And really, it's that same humility and just sense of responsibility that the guys on the ground, they're doing it up close and personal. They're doing God's janitorial work there, and like I was telling Travis at lunch, I mean, we could roll down the window and shoot our 9mm if that's going to make a difference. We'll do whatever it takes so that they can get done what they need to do and get back home to their families and everything. So it's really, in business, I'd say there is a lot of overlap in that, because it doesn't matter. Every business has somebody that's cleaning the jam. I've cleaned heads too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just takes that team effort. Everybody focus on that objective. What's the mission today? Let's get it done and do it the right way.
Yeah, I just always think it's interesting too for like different branches of the military coordinating together to all come together. Is there competitiveness between you guys, between like the Marines and the Rangers, and
Always.
like we're gonna like arm wrestle at the table here or what?
It's like if you've had it's like brothers, It's like we're going to compete and we hate each other, but we hate you more.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. You guys, you have like one enemy. Yeah, that's
we're better than you. We'll just tell you that.
Yeah,
once
right,
in a while.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think it's wild. So fast forward a little bit. So how many years did you serve?
So I was on active duty for about 4.5 years, and then in the reserves for about 3.5 years after that.
Yeah. So and then you did 30. How many active?
33 all up. I think active was like 4. I was active duty, and then had just gotten in the reserves for about a year. I was flying in the reserves when 9/11 happened. I was actually flying for the airlines.
Yeah, at flying. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So you guys, it's a good segue. You guys transition out. The other thing unique about these guys is they had like jobs that I didn't really think matched what you guys do today and your passion for working with business owners. So you came out and you were a mail carrier for the U.S. Postal Service, so still serving our country, right?
Yeah.
And you work
To
for
an extent.
FedEx flying the big boys, right? And the FedEx and American Airlines. So like I guess take me back a little bit, if you will, to say, okay, I want to transfer back into like civilian life. When did you know it was time? I for me, again, totally naive here. I think about it as like a professional athlete deciding to retire. Yeah. Or like for me, I'm still like an avid soccer player, and I'm pushing 40 years old right now, and I'm getting my ass kind of kicked out of here with these guys. Or I have like business stuff. So like I have a game tomorrow, but I have a business dinner. We're probably going to drink a little wine. We're going to eat a big steak, and then I'm going to have to go play an hour game, right? So I'm trying to find a sub. But anyways, I talk about this with my wife. My son stopped playing soccer, but at the time, he's 10 now. I wanted to play till I was like 45, because by the time I'm 45, he'd be like 15, 16, and then we could play together. Mm-hmm. But, and I think in this wave of watching like our generation today too, I'm seeing a lot of my like childhood hero athletes retire. But like always like knowing when the time is right. So what was it for you? Is it just like the contract ended and it was time, or?
So my contract was coming to an end, and the other part was my wife was pregnant with our first daughter. So I came home a couple weeks early from my last deployment.
Okay.
And my wife and I were talking. I said, I got about 6 months left until my contract is done. And she's like, you're done. And I was like, no, I got 2 more deployments, and then even special operations kind of parks you on the sideline for a while, and I'll train up for Delta Force then. She's like, no, I mean like done. And I'm like, well, I'm glad we had this conversation. So it was a pretty abrupt finish.
Yes.
But what made me want to go to the reserves then at that point was they were even recalling the special operations guys. And I was like, there's no way I am going back to teach sniper school or ranger school. I made fun of them guys for dodging deployments when they were teaching those schools. There's no way I can go back there and show my face. So the reserves is just the natural pathway for us to go. Protect me from deploying anymore. I found out once I went into the reserves that I was not deployable. So the job I thought I was going to have wasn't exactly there, but that was what provoked me to make the transition.
What about you?
I'd been deployed. It was my 3rd deployment at about 2.5 years, and one of them was for 10 months. I'm just doing the math. Our first son was 12 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have kids then, right?
That's right. And I got a little bit of broken time, which means reserve time in the middle. I'm like, I probably got about 8 years to go to retirement. If this thing keeps up, and this is about 2005, 2006, I'm like, I'm not going to be around for too many. And our son's going to be graduating from high school, leaving for college, saying, "Hey, Dad, thanks for the memories. Too bad you weren't around for too many. You're the catch in the cradle music." So I just made a decision at that point. And I'd had the experience in the airlines. It's a union job, and it's a great job. And I want all my homies out there to go kill it, retire. Fat bags right there.
Right.
But for me, I just wanted something with a little bit more control over my own destiny. And so it was like, okay, I want to do something a little bit more entrepreneurial, and just put in for business school, and then finished up active duty at my old reserve squad, and they hired me back. I must not have pissed off too many.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah, he wasn't making fun of his instructors.
And just did an executive program. That really helped me transition.
So now fast forward through those roles, and then you guys become financial advisors and now working with business owners. So talk to me about that. Where'd you find that passion?
Yeah, so I when Jimmy passed, he had graduated from Duke with a business degree. So Jimmy turned down jobs on Wall Street with his family to join the military. And then a close friend of mine and mentor of mine that I had when I lived in Georgia, when I was stationed there, he was a financial advisor. And so I said, "Scott, what do I do? How do I get started with this?" And he said, "Well, go to school for business. You can probably use that for pretty much anything."
Right.
And then the post office, as wonderful as it was, I love the job there. It's a great job, but you're kind of doing the same thing every day.
Sure.
You walk down the sidewalk. Don't walk on this side because there's ice. Don't walk in this front yard. They tie up their dog in the front yard. I don't understand why people do that. There's crap all over the place then. But then they told me that you're going to lose your job, and I was like, "Why would I lose my job?" And they said, "Well, because you're the low man on the pole, and that's just the way it works."
Yeah.
And so you had no choice, and so I stopped in with what was my business partner, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to school. How do I get started doing this?" And Jean looked at me and she said, "You got to do an internship." And I said, "I work 6 days a week. How do I do that?" She's like, "I don't know. Figure it out." So that just kind of was it. Just from there, just figured it out. You build the relationships that you got to have. Don't tick off too many people where you came from. But the postmaster said, "I'll take the heat from the union if you just promise me you won't quit within 3 months."
Yeah.
And
So you started kind of an internship at that point?
Yeah, I was her receptionist for about 3 months, and then
that definitely wasn't full.
Yeah, no, I did that for about 2 weeks, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of all in or all out. So what do I do next? And Jean made the connection. She didn't tell me it was an interview. She just said you should wear a suit to this meeting.
But you could do the math, I'm thinking.
I did a little bit,
right.
but there's still at this point I'm 20.
Oh yeah,
4 years old, so I was pretty naive.
Yeah,
and
pretty young.
So I show up at this meeting, and for 3.5 hours, Thriven interviewed me, and then apparently I didn't screw that up because I got the job.
And then you got the job. And okay, fair. What about you and getting into financial advisory?
So I wanted to do something that was a little bit more entrepreneurial, and started out, I ran a State Farm agency for 3 years. And it's a little bit the same. You're doing the same. You get a lot of reps. I grew business from scratch to about 1,300 families. And it was great, but it wasn't really intellectually stimulating. Not to say that I'm the sharpest or super smart Einstein guy or anything, but it was how can we help people at a higher level and do something else? I always like working with the business owners. I always like that commercial aspect because they're building something. They're all in every day. Yeah. And this is their whole life, or this is everything that's powering their family, the next generation. So I always it's a profound respect for that. And I'd always worked since I was a kid, whether mowing lawns, delivering papers, or I've cleaned toilets, been a baggage handler, LAX. And having your own, it's different when you're showing up and getting a paycheck. You just put in the hours. It's different when you own yourself. So always have respect for that.
So I want to, as you guys saw at the beginning of the year, we debuted the 2023 National State of Owner Readiness Survey, where the financial advisor went from like number 5 all the way up to number 1. And when I say number 5, though, that looks like nice, right? Top 5 advisors to an owner. When 2013, when the owners were asked, who is your most trusted advisor? Only 4% of them said the financial advisor. Well, you guys moved up to about 28%, I believe it is, and now took over the number 1 spot. So now I want to kind of transition a little bit and talk a little bit about you guys as certified exit planning advisors and the work that you do with business owners. But we're going to do that after a quick break. So stick with us, and we'll be right back.
Are you a business owner seeking to unlock the true potential of your enterprise? Look no further than the 2nd edition of Christopher Snider's revolutionary book, Walking to Destiny: 11 Actions an Owner Must Take to Rapidly Grow Value and Unlock Wealth. In this updated edition, Snider presents proven strategies for maximizing your company's value and accelerating growth. Whether you're aiming to sell or simply want to ensure long-term success, this book offers a blueprint for building a thriving, self-sustaining business. Walking to Destiny isn't just another book, it's a game changer, backed by Snider's own experience as a successful business owner and as a SEPA. This book bridges the gap between business owners and advisors, guiding you towards financial freedom. But don't just take our word for it. Hear from those whose lives have been transformed by its insights. One satisfied reader raves, "The best guide for transitioning out of privately owned companies. I recommend it to all business owners and advisors." Another praises it on its focus for maximizing business value, calling it their, quote, principal tool for educating owners. Ready to take control of your business's destiny? Visit walkingtodestiny.com now and use code EXITISNOW to claim your free copy of Walking to Destiny. 11 actions an owner must take to rapidly grow value and unlock wealth. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make the moment perfect by seizing this opportunity today.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Exit Is Now podcast. So hanging out here, trying to transition now into some of the work you do today. So we kind of heard both of their histories. So both of them are members of our organization as certified exit planning advisors, particularly perhaps, and I want to talk to you guys this, probably, I would assume, assumingly primarily focus on that personal financial planning path, but I'm sure we do a little bit of both. But before the break, I talked about the State of Owner Readiness Survey and you guys becoming the number one most trusted advisor. And one of the things, if you heard the State of the Institute address back in February, you heard me talk about the tremendous investment that your space, your advisory, the financial advisor space, has made in exit planning and I guess giving you guys the right tools to be where you're at today. Particularly, Travis, for you too, you guys both do a lot of education, deeply involved in the EPI community, but you do like the Owner Roundtable series, or we're attempting to, right? So yeah. My real point here is that I think one of the reasons you guys became the most trusted advisors is that you guys are naturally very relationship oriented, I think, as financial advisors, not transactional. Yeah. And you've invested a heck of a lot of time in developing education for owners. So can you just talk to that component?
For sure. So when we're meeting with clients and the business owner is transitioning, in our world, a lot of times financial advisors get told you're salesmen. But when it comes to business planner or business owners, it really doesn't matter what direction they go in.
Right.
You know, we have the ability to navigate that plan with them. And it's a win for us. It's a win for them. No matter what direction they go, they want to keep improving the value of the business. Then how do we build their personal wealth as they're doing it? If they're ready to transition and sell the business, then how do we build that tax management plan as they transition out of it and build the legal structures and the financial structures around them to help them, and then help them with the mental and personal process as they go through that. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all chose to be self-employed for a reason.
Right.
So now how do we transition out of that and find purpose and value in the work that we do beyond
Absolutely.
the business that we have?
Well, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's gone from in the past, like, frankly, financial advisors they'd say advisor, but they're just schlepping products.
That's a real good way to put it. Yeah.
Like Charlie
It's
Munger
true, though.
says, show me the incentives, I'll show you the outcomes. And when they're just getting paid on commission, they're going to be looking for what commissions.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is that there's just been an evolution in that there's a lot more of an educational aspect. That's one part of it. And obviously from the results from the survey, owners are looking for that. The other part is that it's really more of a holistic approach, and that it's a collaboration. I mean, if nothing, exit planning is a team sport, and no one person can own it all. And I think really where the value comes in, and this helped us in the military, is you recognize I'm really good at a few things. Like Travis is really good at shooting things a long distance. I'm really good at looking sexy. I'm gonna make a big noise and go home. Spend a lot of taxpayer money. Yeah. But the bottom line is, you know what you do, but then you have connections with everybody else. Like I can pick up the phone and call Joe Cerzeri anytime, and he's gonna come in and do good work. And I've got CPEs that can do that, because the business owner's looking for that complete approach that's going to entail execution on the financial aspect. We can help them out with that. the legal aspect. We got to bring somebody else in, but
Right.
we've got enough idea and we work with the right people that we know the right people to call in. And that's the same for the CPA and tax.
Are you at your firm integrating into the business stuff too, or are you like all farming that out too? So you're just focusing on the financial? Or?
The value enhancement.
Yeah, the value enhancement work.
If there are a few things, we can start them out with that. It's every case by case, but like Travis and I were talking about at lunch, there's only so much of us to go around. Really, what does a business owner need? What are they ready for? Mentally to accept that. Sometimes you got to take some low hanging fruit. They have a thorn underneath their fingernails, driving them crazy, but they don't realize that they're bleeding out from a femoral slice or something.
I think it's a good point. I think the biggest struggle, like everybody's kind of jacked up after the SEPA program, and I think we sometimes forget that we can specialize in different areas, right? So I think one of my biggest questions to the financial advisors is, well, you came to the SEPA program as a successful FA, and now you want to be a successful business consultant. I would assume by being a successful FA, you're already like at your highest and best use. You're already at your work capacity. So how are you going to actually bring on some of this business stuff as well? And not to say that there's many SEPAs that go out and make that happen. But I think, just kind of jumping 2 feet in. I think that I like the military example, right? Like you're a specialist, you're a specialist. So let's surround us with other types of folks.
Yeah. So it's from my perspective, I came out of it, and at that time, Thrivent just wasn't in a position where they were ready to do a lot of business planning. So from that side of it, it's how do I take the business side of it? And there's always going to be, we always just draw two circles. Your business overlaps with your personal life. Mm-hmm. It's your choice how much you want that to overlap. And then at all those touch points, there's a tax issue that we got to navigate.
Yeah.
So it's just simple tax risk management then at that point. And then how do we start pulling those pieces apart? We do that as financial advisors with individuals every day. Why wouldn't we want to help our local business owners, and in Thrivent's world, our Christian business owners, do that so that they can further build their faith in their calling in the community? I mean, that's naturally what we'd want to do. Selfishly, I wanted to start working with business owners because I wanted to pick from their brains, what are you doing well, so that I can build it into mine. And there's always the handful of people, and it's like, I definitely don't want to do that. That sucks. Don't do that.
So when you guys came out of the SEPA program, what was your biggest, if you can remember the time, right? What was your biggest like aha or transition moment there, right? Because now I'd like to think, right, that you come through the SEPA program, you've learned a whole nother way to think and a mindset shift for you guys too. So for you, you came back to Thrive and you're like, we're not quite ready to go full in yet, right?
Right.
And when you came back, what was that shift for you? You came back, you were SEPA, and now you're thinking, okay, how do I get this integrated? What's the next transition for you? How do you start incorporating it?
Right, and you hit the nail on the head. It's really a bifurcation. It's that fork in the road. You decide, hey, am I going to be on the value enhancement side,
right,
or am I going to stick to my specialty and focus on the collaboration portion? Because there's only so much time and bandwidth to go. Yeah. And this is just my own personal decision. Is like I'd rather bring in people that are really good or know two or three different ones and find the right fit for the business owner that can do that value enhancement. And because then I know and trust them, and that's a great thing about, frankly, the SEPA, the EPI ecosystem is that what you've built up is it's really a secret sauce of culture and the people to this organization, and then that filters out to the SEPAs for that collaboration. I think that's the one biggest thing that I see, and that's what business owners want. That's what other high-end, high-performance advisors want, is collaboration. And business offers that perfect tableau to get great results.
What about you? What do you think?
I can echo that. Yeah. I mean, Thrivent has done a great job from a standpoint where advisors work together. But then reaching outside of our world, that's a scary thing. So then as we looked at this, one thing I took away from the SEPA courses, I'm like, I am definitely not the smartest person in the room. And so when that happens like that, it's like, all right, I can't do all of what, even in my financial planning business, all of the stuff that's required of me. We have to build that team member specialization into the work that we do every day for just normal Bob and Susie down the road. But then especially for our business owners, we got to make sure we have the right seat or right people at the table.
Right. And I think the other part too is, like you mentioned, with business owners, we learn some great examples of what to do, maybe what not to do, depending on different situations. But it's also in collaborating with other legal high performance performers or on the tax side, you can learn a lot of different things, and just enough to say like, hey, is this a good idea? Not enough that you're trying to implement it yourself, but like, hey, I've heard this concept. And one of those things, just from a CPA, we saved a business owner because he had original C Corp shares, and then I'm an expert, but I said, hey, I've heard that before. I think there's something we could do, and they ended up saving $2.1 million on shares.
I think that's the beauty of it too, right? And by being a collaborator, understanding that there's different specialties along the way. But what's nice about not even just coming to the SEBA programming or even coming to any type of education directly by, more so about the community. Because we're always learning from each other. Like I learned from having guys like you on the podcast, right? So it's one of the reasons I want to do the podcast and fly everybody in. So I'm like, well, I got a fairly young team here at EPI. Let's bring in 18 guests over the course of 4 days and take them out to the Cavs game and learn from each other. So I think that's a good point, is that you're learning enough to be dangerous, right? You're like, hey, I got a guy, I think we should go talk to that CPA because I think there's something here.
But enough to know that it's dangerous, so you say, I need to bring in a professional so I don't lose it.
Exactly. So drawing back on your military experience, so now we're all in on our practices, we're working for business owners. What are you drawing from your time in the military that helps with your stuff today? Other than really cool stories, like because I'm a business owner, I just hang out with you guys all day just to pick your brains.
Yeah, the relentless execution part is just the constant thing that comes to my mind. Is so when stuff gets tough and it's not real clear on what to do next, who's going to build that structure, that SOP, so the standard operating procedure, so that we know how to do it the next time that we build it. If we have consistency, we can build efficiency. We can do much more work when we do that. I think our biggest job as a team is that we organize the chaos for our clients.
Yeah.
And if we can build that into a process that's repeatable, then we can do so much more work and help so many more people.
Absolutely. What do you, Mo? What do you
think? I agree with everything Travis just said in terms of helping the business owner focus. And I think also from the military is kind of that teamwork approach and the humility to say, like, you know, I know what I'm good at, and I'm not afraid to say I'm going to let this person do it because we can only do so much. And the other piece is that when it comes, it's really a collaborative effort, and for the business owner, it's a piece that we can put together and know our place. Whether if we're going to be the guy driving the bus, that's great, but also be able to say, hey, I can chip in here and do my piece and get the overall big mission done.
So this, again, just might be my civilian opinion. So you guys know about, if you followed EPI, and you guys certainly know, big transition for us in 2020 going through the pandemic. Like, obviously, what everybody sees is the product transition. Mm-hmm. What people don't see is the core values and the leadership style transitions. And again, not that I was in the military, but leading a landscape crew is a hell of a lot different than leading these folks that you see today. And age demographic is different. So when I think I heard in 2020 when we're investigating my purpose and my leadership style, that was very like militant, and they were like, Scott, you would have been a hell of a drill sergeant. But if you look at, and to your point of like not being the smartest in the room, this business as it's grown too, and you guys know our team here at EPI, it's kind of intimidating sometimes for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, like these people are wildly talented. And so, you know, growing up with maybe that maybe militant leadership style where you're just kind of barking orders worked really well for me actually at my landscaping crews, right? Like, and it was like a rank and order. Like there's a low man, there's a foreman, there's the general manager, and it's like, do this, do that. You mess it up, you're either ejected, you know, like there's not a lot of strikes. We're prim, proper. There's a big group meeting. It's a yes, sir kind of mentality. I took that same leadership style into EPI, and it worked in the early years because there's just like 5 of us, right? That's like me, Jesse, Josh, and they're my buddies too. So they're used to me barking orders. But then as we evolved through hard times and pandemic, and you have folks like Paige and Jocelyn, you know, you have folks like Chase, younger folks now in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that want to be led differently, that are highly educated, very emotionally intelligent. What I learned is that style didn't work anymore, and that I had to make a big change. So I'm wondering if you had similar styles for people that led people in the military, where I would assume that was similar. Did you take that and was it different in your civilian life? Did you have to change?
You want to go?
I was going to say, I'll let the officer go first.
I was going to say,
I'll handle the NCO stuff.
You were also
afterwards.
an instructor in the Marines too, where you were like,
you're an instructor pilot, but it's also when you're senior, and you're exactly right. You give someone an order when it needs to be done, it's immediate, but whenever you have to give somebody an order to accomplish a mission, but whenever you can, you give them the why. One of the favorite things that encapsulate it is, mission first, Marines always. So we got to keep the lights on. We got to keep the business going. And at the same time, I'm always going to take care of you the best we can. And people deserve the why, because then they're going to be able to make the decision. I thought I was reading about your dad talking about decentralize the owner.
Yep.
And that's how the Marine Corps actually operates. We have centralized command and control, meaning, hey, this is where the support's going to come from. If you need guidance, come and ask us. But we're going to have decentralized execution. So really, as a leader in the military, for me, for all of us, you're trying to push down to the decision making because you trust them. They've demonstrated their capabilities, and you got to give them a little leeway to fail. As I got promoted up, when I made colonel, they actually had like parking spots for me. I'm looking around like it.
Yeah, that's kind of a bit. How many people make colonel? Do you know? There's like a percentage.
I try not to think about it.
Right.
Yeah, not that many.
Yeah, not many.
No.
That's pretty high rank.
When you get a parking spot, it's kind of humbling.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that as I got promoted up, I realized don't become part of the problem. Realize your role. Ask your Marines or sailors and ask them what they need and give it to them, because you decentralize that execution, they're going to be making great decisions without you even being involved, because they understand the mission. So that you get 10 times done with half the people.
What about you? I think we kind of talked about this in January when I saw you at the conference too, a little bit.
For sure. I was on the non-commissioned officer side, so the decentralization, that was
going
me.
direct to him. Yeah, right to him.
Well, they do all the good work. And if I get into just one thing, I would say we'd be brainstorming. If there's an idea that comes up, I said, that's a great idea. If it works, you take all the credit. If somebody gets in trouble, they don't like it, then tell them to come see me, because it's my decision.
Yeah. The Ranger Private will come up with some amazing things, amazingly stupid at times, but amazing things. But when I looked at it, I had this journey through my career where, going from just a rifleman to a machine gunner to being a team leader to being responsible for my sniper team. I never got to the point where I was able to decentralize. So that's the part from my learning that I still need coaching on. And then my wife consistently reminds me that not everyone's going to work like me.
Right.
And she is not one of my Ranger privates. And that you can't yell at people like that. It doesn't work. And so just having to relearn communication style, expectations, giving clear and exact instruction, and allowing people the liberty to create. We've just gone through some restructuring on our team. Yeah. It wasn't even my idea. Yeah. That's the beauty of it is with our team coming together and allowing some of those support structures to be built into place. It's an opportunity that we see for great growth with our practice. And the best part of it is it wasn't my idea.
Yeah, exactly right. So, all right, gents, I need to take another quick break, so we'll be right back after this.
Hey there, business owners. Are you ready for a game-changing opportunity? Introducing the 2023 National State of Owner Readiness Report. Over the past decade, this groundbreaking research has reshaped how we view business ownership and exit planning. This report isn't just another study, it's a deep dive into the evolution of business ownership. It shines a spotlight on the crucial intersection of business attractiveness and owner readiness, revealing the undeniable impact of preparation on achieving successful transitions. With younger generations taking the reins, exit planning is taking on a whole new perspective. Education and awareness about preparing for the future have never been more crucial, and with financial readiness leading the charge, there's a clear opportunity for growth and learning. But here's the kicker. The report shows a surge in exit planning education and understanding, yet many still lack formal transition teams, highlighting the essential role of comprehensive support. So who's got your back? Trusted advisors have evolved from CPAs to financial advisors, making a decade of significant change in support networks. Ready to take the next step towards a successful exit? Dive into the Exit Planning Institute's 2023 National State of Owner Readiness Report and start shaping your legacy today. The future is knocking. Are you ready to answer? Discover your readiness level at 2023ownerreadiness.com and take the first step towards a successful and significant exit.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. So in closing here, I wanted to ask the guys about folks just like you that are coming out of the military, transitioning back into the civilian life and perhaps following a path where you guys have gone, right? Which is a very impressive path. Again, people that are involved in the EPI community educate and mentor owners, and they're helping them kind of drive what we call at EPI, right, to this pathway to significance. So, Mo, starting over with you,
Sure.
What would you, if you had a guy transitioning out of the military, looking for a career path, and maybe even looking to say, hey, look, I followed you, and I think that working with business owners is interesting. What would you tell them?
Yeah, it's for me, it's very simple reframe. You just reframe from that big picture, fighting for the country, take care of people to your right, to your left, and that's a business owner. Business owner's all in. Mm-hmm. Just they have put, you're in a very honorable and have a high responsibility for your position to be able to help them out. And really just transition to that, do everything within moral, ethical standards and good business practices to help them out. From a work ethic perspective, I look at it, there's kind of, in the military, you got your quote unquote 3 hots in a cod and you kind of know where everything's coming. You got to have a little bit of a mindset, be able to deal with some uncertainty, be able to be able to eat what you kill out there a little bit, and be self-sufficient and self-drive. And let's face it, you're going to be kicked in the teeth a lot of times, but just like everything else in the military, you keep going and don't quit it. Find something good on the other side.
Yeah. What about you, Trev?
For sure. When I looked at my process and my transition as I got out of the military, even just as I got in, the Ranger Indoctrination Program, we started with 160 dudes, 16 got selected.
Wow.
So, the group that I was fighting with, they fought to be the best of the best. Our business owners that we're working with, they're fighting to make their business the best of the best.
Yeah.
And for military guys that are transitioning out, you guys fought hard, you trained hard, you were looking to excel and be the best at what you did. Now, what do you do with yourself when you come out? Everything in life is a choice. So you can choose to sit there and wallow in pity, and suicide is a huge thing within the veteran community. Yeah. But I think looking at building purpose in your life and driving forward with that helps us tremendously. And I think it from a veteran standpoint, we're always going to assume we got a little bit of an advantage in that field because it's just refocusing that drive and that focus.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we're at the top of the hour, so that's all we have for today. So I appreciate you guys coming all the way, coming all the way to Cleveland from California, down from Wisconsin. We're a little bit more of the Midwest, Midwest vibe. But again, in all seriousness, thank you guys for your service. Really appreciate you guys. Certainly wouldn't be here doing what we're doing.
And thanks to all the business owners for keeping the gears turning while we were gone on deployment. That's what paid our paychecks and kept us going. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Exit Planning has been a great partner. I appreciate you guys and all the work that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining the show. We will see you next time. September 25th is the next episode. So subscribe, listen, and leave a review on all of your podcast platforms. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.